Hello and welcome back to English Zero to Hero. This is John. Let's continue with our IELTS 1400 words. And let's start with accomplice. This is the 21st word, the word number 21. All right, let's start. The next word is accomplice. Let's see what accomplice is. That's a thief's accomplice. If you're committing the same crime as somebody else at the same time, you are the accomplice in crime. The thief's accomplice, the gunman's accomplice, Hitler's accomplice 就是希特勒的从犯 Hitler's accomplice. Let's see accomplices in TV shows.
I was paying very close attention to his eyes.
Right.
That guy was not the accomplice.
That guy was not the accomplice. He was not the person who's committing the same crime.
The man who fired the shot escaped, and his accomplice was shot by Officer Lopez.
So Officer Lopez shot the accomplice, shot the person who committed the crime. 就是把那个从犯给击毙了。
The man who fired the shot escaped, and his accomplice was shot by Officer Lopez.
Was shot by Officer Lopez.
Was shot by Officer Lopez.
被他打中了。
The day, Raines and two white male accomplices stole an estimated $30,000 and were reported to have left the scene on motorcycles.
Let's listen again.
Raines and two white male accomplices stole an estimated $30,000.
So Raines, this person named Raines, he and two white male accomplices, right? 他有两个这个白人男性的从犯两个从犯。So accomplices are the person committing the same crime at the same time. 这叫从犯accomplice. So let's take a look at the next word. Hello. Any questions? 有没有问题？好，我们继续。Right, cost. The next word is accost. Accost means when somebody comes up to you very aggressively. For example, typically we use the word accost with police, right? When the police approaches you and wants to arrest you, that's accost. For example, the police is accosting and detaining some person. Accost and detain 就是他们过来来开始可以说搭讪但是不是友好的搭讪他是要抓你他是非常的恶意的过来找你这叫 accost and detain. For example, the police officer can stop you, accost you, and then arrest you 这是 accost. Accosted and arrested. Let's take a look at accost.
So words we cannot use, phrases we cannot say, because if we do so, we might be accosted, jailed, or even killed.
Right. We might be accosted, that is by the police or the due authority, and jailed, we might be put into prison, or even killed, right? Or like George Floyd.
We might be accosted, jailed, or even killed.
Right, so accost is to approach very aggressively. That's accost.
It's being watched, guarded today. In some places, I've been personally accosted by unidentified gentlemen.
Right, some unidentified gentleman 某个不认识的人然后他突然去找他突然去跟他去说话说你干嘛呢这是 accost. When somebody approaches you very aggressively, that's accost.
And he's standing out there and he's being accosted by the people. You know that.
Right, so you can say accost or accost. Like Trump would say accost. He says accosted.
By the people. And he's standing out there and he's being accosted.
He's being accosted. So he's got this accent.
And he's standing out there and he's being accosted by the people. You know that. I mean, it's horrible what they're doing to Portland. The mayor of Portland.
So the mayor of Portland was being accosted by the angry mobs, right? So that's accost, right? To approach angrily, aggressively. Okay. Interesting. All right. The next word is acoustic. Acoustic is a word relating to sound. For example, acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar 就是不是电吉他是一般的吉他，就是 acoustic guitar. For example, we can say acoustic guitar. I'll show you a clip with acoustic guitars.
Guitars. I mean, the sales of guitars, when acoustic guitars, this is, went from 5,000 in 1 year to 3 years later to 250,000 guitars in a year.
He sells a lot of guitars.
Sales of guitars, when acoustic guitars, this is.
Acoustic guitars, so not electric guitars, but acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars. Right, so that's acoustic.
The acoustic sensor on Huygens.
Acoustic sensor, that is a sound sensor, right? Something that senses sound. Acoustic sensor.
The acoustic sensor on Huygens was essentially a microphone, but it only sampled every couple.
Therefore, for acoustic studies, it is a very valuable platform.
Acoustic studies, I think it means studying with sound waves. So you use sound waves to study something, like sonar, for example, right? So 音学的研究它可能是用这个声波去探测 acoustic studies.
Therefore, for acoustic studies, it is a very valuable platform.
All right, so that's acoustic. So it's relating to sound, and especially used with acoustic guitars, right? So these are acoustic guitars. Just remember, acoustic is relating to sound, and it has to do with acoustic guitars. All right, so let's look at the next word. Acquisitive, covetous, acquisitive greed. The next word is acquisitive. Acquisitive. We know the word acquire. It means to get something, to obtain something. That's acquire. We also know acquisition. Acquisition. 比方说公司合并你收购一个公司，这是 acquire 一个公司，或者是going through acquisition. Acquisition. Acquisitive is the adjective form of that. So, for example, if a person wants a lot of things, that's having acquisitive greed. Acquisitive greed. Acquisitive mentality, meaning wanting a lot and wanting to get a lot of things, that's acquisitive mentality. Acquisitive mentality. Acquisitive instinct, that means the instinct of being greedy. You want to get a lot of things, and that's acquisitive. 就是特别这个怎么说？非常贪婪啊，想要有好多东西，这是 acquisitive 啊，很想要 acquire 啊，这是 acquisitive。
Ryan is near the bottom of the
比赛拼写，看看谁能拼对这个词。
Ace the spelling round.
Acquisitive.
ACQUISITIVE.
Correct. Triskaidekaphobia.
Appearance of toads always awakens the old acquisitive instinct.
Awakens old acquisitive instinct 啊，就是它唤起了它这种怎么说贪婪的欲望啊，贪婪的本能 acquisitive instinct。acquisitive 这个词现在用的不是很多啊， so it's a little bit rare. All right, so let's take a look at the next word. The next word is acquit. Acquit. We know the word quit means to leave something, to leave something. But acquit means, for example, Donald Trump. He was acquitted. 就是说他被判无罪，他被判没有罪。When people say that you're innocent, you have no crime, all right? That's acquitting. So Donald Trump was acquitted. That means he has been determined to be innocent, to be not guilty. So that was in the news a lot. Acquitted and freed. If you, for example, if you're suspected of a crime and then you went to court and then the court says no, you don't have any crime, you're innocent, then you can be acquitted and then freed and then let go.
You have the president was impeached by the House of Representatives. He was acquitted by the Senate.
我们再听一遍。
You have the president was impeached by the House of Representatives.
The president was impeached, and that means he was going through this process where he might be removed from office. Right? This is called impeachment. He was acquitted. That means he was found not guilty. He was impeached by the House of Representatives, but he was acquitted by the Senate. Right?
You have the president was impeached by the House of Representatives. He was acquitted by the Senate. How does he read this? Back in this country, a jury in Florida has acquitted the widow of the gunman who massacred 49 people at a gay nightclub in Orlando. In this country, a jury in Florida has acquitted the widow of the gunman who massacred 49 people at a gay nightclub in Orlando. 49 people in this country.
So the widow of this gunman was acquitted. So he was saying, he was told you have no crime. You're okay. You're free to go. So he was acquitted.
Blake was acquitted of murder.
He was acquitted of murder. So he was told that you're okay. You have no crime. Right?
Blake was acquitted of murder.
他被判无罪啊，这叫做 acquit. The noun form of that is acquittal. So acquit becomes acquittal. Acquittal 啊，这是名词形式是 acquittal. 哎，两个 t， two t's 哈 ，acquittal. All right, so that is acquit. Any questions? All right, let's continue. The next word is acrid. Let's take a look at what acrid is. Acrid is a kind of smell. It's a kind of taste. When something tastes like acid, that's acrid. For example, acrid smoke right? If you have a bomb going off, and after that the smoke comes out, and that's acrid smoke. It smells 就有种那种硫磺味道啊，就是 acrid fumes acrid fumes, acrid smoke, acrid smell. For example, when you have a skunk, 臭鼬啊，像 skunk, that's when it sprays, that's an acrid smell. It smells really strong, very it's got a strong stench. 这叫 acrid smell. So let's take a look at acrid.
The acrid stench of burning metal, plastic, and chemicals.
And that's Lebanon, right? After the big explosion, what's left is acrid stench.
Acrid stench of burning metal, plastic, and chemicals hangs heavy in the air.
Right, so that's acrid. Let's see this.
At the touch of the hot feathers and the acrid perfume in his nostrils, the boy sneezed, stirred, and opened his eyes.
Right, so the boy sneezed. Why did he sneeze? Because there were hot feathers, the touch of hot feathers, and then there was acrid perfume.
At the touch of the hot feathers and the acrid perfume in his nostrils.
He couldn't stand the acrid perfume in his nostrils, in his 鼻孔 nostrils. Right, so that's acrid. So that's a very strong smell, a very strong smell. 这个就是辛酸的那种味道啊，这叫 acrid。像臭鼬啊，喷了以后那个味道啊，像那个烟啊，爆炸了以后那个烟的味道啊 like that, like the perfume or the fumes after an explosion. This is called acrid. All right, this is difficult. Okay. Word number 27 is acrimonious. Acrimonious is when people are having a very nasty confrontation. That's acrimonious. For example, we can say an acrimonious debate. Right? Trump and Biden had a very, very anger-filled like debate. Right? So that was an acrimonious debate. An acrimonious dispute, right? You can have a very heated dispute with someone. That's an acrimonious dispute. An acrimonious divorce, right? So not a friendly divorce, an acrimonious divorce. So let's take a look at acrimonious on TV.
Reasonable, constructive, and not a non-acrimonious way. It was assumed that having all these officials appointing them.
Right, let's listen again.
That, and not a non-acrimonious way.
So non-acrimonious, that means very friendly, right? He said it was very reasonable, it was very constructive, right? Constructive 就是有建设性的啊，这是一个有建设性的这么一个谈话，一个讨论啊，它不是非常尖酸刻薄的。
Reasonable, constructive. And not a non-acrimonious.
Non-acrimonious 啊，就不是 acrimonious 的，不是尖酸刻薄的那种的啊，是非常友好的。
These process in court nomination fights for decades. We saw in the 1980s with Judge Bork. These processes can become quite acrimonious.
Right. So the anchor is saying that the processes could become very acrimonious, right? So whatever processes he was referring to, perhaps some kind of debate, right? So that could become quite acrimonious or quite confrontational. So that's acrimonious. Let's take a look at the next word. It's funny. I have no audience today. Wonder why. 好 下一个词 acrimony, matrimony. The next word is acrimony. Right? When something is very acrimonious, right? We looked at acrimonious before. Then it's got a lot of acrimony. So that's the noun form of acrimonious. For example, if you have a very bitter discussion with someone, if you have a very acrimonious discussion with someone, you can have bitter acrimony, right? So that discussion is filled with bitter acrimony. Partisan acrimony. That's, for example, when you have two political parties going against each other, right? That is called partisan dispute or partisan conflict or partisan acrimony. Unnecessary acrimony, right? Sometimes you can have a very friendly discussion, very reasonable, constructive discussion. It doesn't have to be very acrimonious. So you can say, oh, that discussion has got a lot of unnecessary acrimony.
That you just got, it's caused a lot of confusion. It caused a lot of acrimony, especially early in the morning as polling places changed at the last minute. Election judges dropped out by the hundreds.
Right, so this was election day. There was a lot of acrimony. Why? Because there were a lot of polling places that's being changed. So yeah, polling places, that's where you cast your vote. 就是那个选举的时候，那个投票的地方叫 polling stations. Polling stations 改变换了，然后很多人就很生气So it caused a lot of acrimony. That means it caused a lot of anger. It caused a lot of confusion and bitter anger.
Caused a lot of confusion. It caused a lot of acrimony, especially.
Right. So a lot of people are upset. That's a lot of acrimony.
Caused a lot of confusion. It caused a lot of acrimony, especially early in the morning as polling places changed at the last minute. Election judges dropped out by the hundreds.
So a lot of election judges also left.
Such deal this time. The acrimony, it just continued in the
So this guy likes the word acrimonious and acrimony.
This time. The acrimony, it just continued in the Senate this week.
Right, so the acrimony continued in the Senate. Right, so maybe in the House of Representatives there was acrimony, and now the acrimony sort of spread to the Senate.
This time. The acrimony, it just continued in the Senate.
All right, so that's acrimony. Let's take a look at the next word. The next word is acumen. Acumen. When you have a lot of acuity, or when you are very skilled at something, you have a lot of acumen. Especially with business. We often say business acumen. For example, we say business acumen, right? If you're really good at doing business, you have business acumen. You're a very smart business person. You have a lot of business acumen. Financial acumen, that's the same. If you're very good with money, if you know how to manage your money, that is having a lot of financial acumen. Or we can say commercial acumen, right? Business acumen, commercial acumen.
Wealth and power through their business acumen and commerce. And certainly they made money that way.
So how do they make money? By their business acumen, right? With their business acumen.
Power through their business acumen and commerce.
Right, with business acumen and commerce, they manage to make a lot of money. So that's acumen.
business acumen, and innovation. They have designed new drug products and new drug processes. They have cultivated a brand of professionalism, business acumen, and innovation.
Right. So they are proud of having professionalism, right? Professionalism, that's being professional, and business acumen, very good at doing business, very good at marketing, sales, etc., and innovation. So professionalism, business acumen, and innovation.
Clever, but maybe don't have the business acumen to things. Silicon Valley is filled with people who are, quite clever, but maybe don't have the business acumen to pull it off. People who are things. Silicon Valley is filled with people who are, quite clever, but maybe don't have the business acumen to pull it off.
So that's the problem with Silicon Valley, not having enough business acumen. All right, so that is acumen, especially with business acumen. Funny, no one watching. It's new. Oh, hi. Finally, I have a viewer. You're the only viewer. Hello. Too bad I can't see your name. All right, so let's continue. The next word is an easy word. That's adage. So let's take a look at adage. For example, we can say an old adage. For example, money can buy happiness. That's an old adage. The age-old adage. That's a very old adage. I don't know. I can't think of any examples. Let's take a look at examples on TV.
That old adage, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right. The old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. Right. 不要字面意思上说是不要按照书皮来判断这个书的内容啊，就是说你不要以貌取人，是这个意思，不要以貌取人。
That old adage, don't judge a book by its cover, definitely applies here.
Right. The old adage 啊，这个很古老的格言 ，don't judge a book by its cover applies here.
That old adage, don't judge a book by its cover, definitely applies here.
The adage, all is fair in love and war, was coined in 1850 by an English writer.
Right, let's listen again.
The adage, all is fair in love and war, was coined in 1850 by an English writer.
So in 1850, this English writer coined an adage. To coin is to make a phrase, to make up a word or a phrase. So he coined this adage. What adage? All is fair in love and war, right? So war and love, everything is fair, right?
The adage, all is fair in love and war, was coined in 1850 by an English writer.
Right. So adage is simply a saying.
Launching a new product to market, because the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though there are a lot of resources available to startups and entrepreneurs now,
let's take a look at it again.
So even though there are a lot of resources available to startups, launching a new product to market, because the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Right, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Right, so 你只有一次机会可以留下一个 first impression， 对吧？你第一次见面的时候给人留下一个印象，你只有一次机会。
Launching a new product to market, because the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So that's adage. Adage is a saying, especially a very old saying. And old adage the age-old adage not to judge a book by its cover. So let's take a look at the next word. The next word is adaptable. We know that something able means able to do something. For example, removable, right? That's something that can be removed. For example, removable hard drive. A removable hard drive 就是可移动硬盘，就可以拿走的硬盘啊，这是 removable hard drive. So adaptable is something that can adapt, right? 可以适应的什么东西。For example, you can say that something is highly adaptable, right? Highly adaptable. That means you can adapt to new situations very easily. That's highly adaptable. Be adaptable. Be adaptable. When we face a new situation, we have to adapt very quickly. We have to be adaptable. So adaptable simply means to be able to adapt, right? To, for example, like a chameleon. 变色龙 chameleon. When it goes into a different environment, it changes its color. So it adapts to the new environment. That is being adaptable. Adaptable 就能适应的，可以适应的。
More adaptable.
The herbivores 就是食素的那种恐龙食素的恐龙，食草恐龙，食草动物。
More adaptable and could survive in a variety of temperatures. More adaptable and could survive in a variety of temperatures.
Right, so those herbivore dinosaurs were more adaptable. That means they can adapt new environments. Right, so it's simply adapt plus able. Right. Let's take a look at another example.
You got to be adaptable.
You got to be adaptable. That means you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to adapt to new situations. You have to be able to change according to new scenarios, new situations, right? 就是你要能够适应新的环境这叫做 adaptable You gotta be adaptable. 你必须要能适应有这个适应能力。
You gotta be adaptable. I mean, the lunch business has basically gone away in certain neighborhoods because nobody drinks at lunch.
Right. So he's talking about his business, right? His business is changing, and he has to adapt. So he has to be adaptable.
They're very adaptable. The tigers, the leopards, they have such widespread ranges. So they exist in the tropics and then into where it's very cold, very snowy.
Right. So these animals, they exist in widespread ranges. 意思就是它们生存的环境非常的多样这个领域很广in widespread ranges. 所以呢，因为这个生存环境很多样他们必须要能够适应所以他们要很 adaptable They're very adaptable.
They're very adaptable. The tigers, the leopards, they have such widespread ranges.
So adaptable simply means able to adapt, right? Be 能适应就能适应的意思。Okay, so let's take a look at the next word. Any questions about adaptable? Before we move on to addicted. 好，来看下一个词。The next word is addicted. To addict is to make someone hooked on something 就让人上瘾，这是 addict 让一个人上瘾这是 addict。Addicted 就是被上瘾就是上瘾了，那这意思。For example, people can be addicted to drugs, right? The druggies can be addicted. Meth addicted, so that's addicted to this drug called meth, right? Meth addicted. addicted to drink or drugs. Addicted to drinking or drugs. Addicted smokers. A smoker can be chain smoker, right? Can be addicted to cigarettes. So that's addicted. Look at this woman.
I'm Rhonda, and I'm addicted to sucking my thumb.
But
I'm Rhonda, and I'm addicted to sucking my thumb.
Right. So she's addicted to sucking her thumb. Right.
I'm Rhonda, and I'm addicted to sucking my thumb.
So she's doing this all the time.
I'm Rhonda, and I'm addicted to sucking my thumb.
So she's just
the only
sucking
time
her
that
thumb
I'm
all the
not
time.
doing is when I'm in the shower, brushing my teeth, or blow drying my hair.
Right. Except for in the shower or blow drying her hair, she's always sucking her thumb. So she's addicted to
I'm Rhonda,
thumb sucking.
and I'm addicted to sucking my thumb.
美国电视。
Addicted to food, just like people be addicted to crack cocaine. I would eat.
She says, people can be addicted to. She says, I was addicted to food.
I was addicted to food, just like people be addicted to crack cocaine.
Right. So she likes to eat.
I was addicted to food, just like people be addicted to crack cocaine.
Just like people who can become addicted to crack cocaine. Crack cocaine. So that's addicted. You can be addicted to cigarettes, to alcohol, to crack cocaine, to food. So let's take a look at the next word. The next word is additive, right? It's something that's added, right? So you add something, and that something that you add is an additive. For example, in different products, we can add chemicals to it. So that's called additives. 比方说一个什么东西有添加剂，我们就可以说 it contains additives. 有添加剂 contains additives. Or we can say we ban additives. 我们要就是禁止添加剂禁止食品里的添加剂we have to ban additives in food. Right.
All independent of each other as well. So they're additive. So
okay, no, not this one.
What we produce here in the way of flour is an absolutely pure flour, no additives whatsoever.
So he's saying that his flour, 它的那个面粉，它的 flour has no additives, right? So it's very pure, has no additives. But additive also has another meaning, and that is not 就是它是叠加的，就是它不是一个就是把以前的什么东西除掉，它是在以前的基础上叠加上去的比方说听这个人
all independent of each other as well. So they're additive.
就是他们是叠加的他在说什么
So along with low income goes crowded housing?
Yeah. But it's a marginal factor. These are all independent of each other as well. So they're additive.
So he's saying that different factors can add on top of each other. They don't necessarily exclude one another. They can add to one another, right? So they're additives.
Two of those together are and an online presence, and the two of those together are additive. And I think that really is the future, you know.
So he's talking about, right.
That 1 plus.
Let me show you some context.
Most online retailers are now
so he's talking about online retail.
That 1 plus.
他在讲那个线上的那个销售，线上销售和线下销售的这个他们的关系，讲这个。
most online retailers are now realizing that 1 + 1 = 3, that you have to have a physical store and an online presence, and the two of those together are additive.
So he's saying that offline stores 像 brick and mortar stores 就是那个线下的商店和线上的商店online stores。The two are additive， 就是他们会彼此叠加就是1加1等于3就是这个你有线上的和线下的这两个一合起来你就有更好的东西这叫做 additive。So the two add to each other， 这叫 additive。So that's additive. So it can be 添加剂可以是添加剂，也可以是就是两个什么事情彼此叠加所以它可以是一个名词，对吧？名词的话是添加剂。如果是形容词的话呢，它就是彼此添加的、彼此叠加的彼此增强的这个意思。好，我们来看下一个词。Sorry. The next word is adept. Adept simply means skilled. Or like we talked about before, we can say you have a lot of acumen. But acumen is usually used with business or commerce. But adept, it could be adept at anything, right? You can be adept at singing. You can be adept at swimming. You can be adept at anything. Right? So let's take a look at adept.
Eating their food from. They're very adept at choosing the best wood for the particular job.
This is not supposed to be word, it's wood. 他说的是木头不是 word 不是 word.
Food from. They're very adept at choosing the best wood for the particular job.
They're very adept at choosing the best wood for the particular job, right? So they're very good at picking the wood. 选择这个木材非常的娴熟adept.
The people that are very adept at handling a gun.
Adept at handling a gun, gun 就是非常娴熟的可以去使用枪支Very adept at handling a gun.
This would only be obviously for people that are very adept at handling a gun.
Very adept at handling a gun. Right, so that's adept. 就是非常娴熟的，非常的有技能的。刚才讲的不好，重新讲一遍。算了，就那样吧。The next word is adherent. An adherent is like a follower or someone who sticks to something. Let's take a look at adherent.
When did you suddenly become a religious adherent?
A religious adherent 就是一个宗教的信徒因为他好像跟着这个宗教，好像贴着一样这个 adhere 嘛，它那个字面意思上就是贴，对吧 ？adhere， 你知道 adhere 吧？adhere means to stick 就是 to stick to something， 就是贴着就是 adhere。你知道 adhesive 对吧 ？adhesive 之后我们会学adhesive 就是胶粘合剂胶。Adhere to is to stick to something, and adherent is someone who sticks to a belief or a follower of this belief or a religion. 所以 adherent 就是宗教的这个信从者、跟从者，好像他粘在这个宗教上一样再看一下。
Suddenly become a religious adherent about concern of socialism for the rich when you gave 83% of the benefits to the rich.
美国政治啊，他说 religious adherent 啊，就是宗教信徒这个意思，宗教信徒。
Makes you an adherent. Something about being a Muslim that people believe makes you an adherent to this version of what's called Sharia law that they know about from what they see on the news.
Right, so he's saying that Muslims might be adherent to a certain version of Islam, right? 他说穆斯林会去信从一种就是version 一个版本啊，好像一个版本的这个伊斯兰的法律啊，叫做 Sharia law 啊，就是他们这个伊斯兰教法啊，他这个意思就是他们是这一个教法的信徒啊，就是 adherent 啊，信从者或者说追从者。
Whether it's being adherent to their medications or, again, that patient with diabetes, making sure that they're checking their what's known as A1C levels.
Right, so he's saying adherent to their medications 啊，就是跟着这套这个服药方案啊，然后不改变的，这叫 adherent to their medications 啊 ，adherent to their medications. Let's see. Other examples.
And followers, right? Because they were very much adherents to what was happening. And so you talk to them and you followers, right? Because they were very much adherents to what was happening. And
right. So they were closely following what's happening. That is adherence to what is happening. Very much adherence to what's happening. Actually, I'm not too sure what this is. Adherence, I think that's weird. I didn't know I saved this. Okay, stop. I have to delete some of those lines. New adherence to these movements, like adherence to the Orion prophecy, followers very much adherence to what was happening. I think that's a bit unclear. Among their adherents, being adherents to their medication. Yeah, this Islam is kind of hard to explain. Let's try again. Okay, let's try again. The next word is adherent. An adherent is someone who closely follows something or someone who sticks to something. Let's take a look at adherence.
The Colburn Bible is said to have been discovered in England in the 12th century. Like adherents of the Orion prophecy, believers of the Colburn Bible say it warns of a celestial disaster.
Right. So adherence to the Orion prophecy. Orion prophecy 这是一个什么星座的预言啊？这是一个俄里翁希腊神话人物啊，反正它是个预言。Adherence to this prophecy 就是这套预言的信从者啊，他们的信徒，他们教徒啊。So adherence 就好像他粘附在这个东西上面，粘附在这个信仰上面。我们知道 adhere 就是粘着的意思，对吧？你在什么东西上粘着，就是 adhere to it。我们知道 adhesive 啊 ，adhesive 之后我们会学啊 ，adhesive 就是粘合剂啊，粘合剂。adherent 就是 adhere 的一个人啊。如果你 adhere 在什么上面，你 adhere 在一个信仰上面，你 adhere 在一个什么宗教上面啊，或者在一套什么那个什么这观念上面。 这就是你就是一个 adherent 不是 adherent 是 adherent 就是 follower 的意思啊，就是 follower。
Like adherents of the Orion prophecy.
Like adherents to the Orion prophecy, right? So those people who follow or believe the Orion prophecy, that's adherents to the Orion prophecy.
COVID vaccines, questions about tax increases. Some evangelical leaders work to overcome resistance to COVID vaccines among their adherents.
So a lot of evangelical leaders, evangelical, that is a branch of Christianity that's devoted to spreading the gospel. So evangelical leaders work to overcome resistance to COVID vaccines among their adherents. Right? So the adherents to this Christian faith have some resistance to COVID vaccines 啊，就很多这些信徒可能不想去打打疫苗，然后这些领导这些宗教领袖呢，他们就要去劝他们，然后你打疫苗吧啊。So he has to convince their adherents to get the COVID vaccine. Hello, Stephen. Yeah, I'm having a nice day. Thank you. It's pretty quiet here. Thanks for coming.
Like adherents of the Orion.
We've looked at this already.
Why did you suddenly become a religious adherent about concern of socialism for the rich?
Right. So here he's saying that did you all of a sudden become an adherent to this religion of concerning about the rich, right? So he's saying that these people who favor the rich are like adherent to a religion. So that's his point of view.
And draw new adherents to these movements.
Adherents to these movements. A movement 意思是像一种怎么说运动，对，运动可以说运动。Adherents to these movements 就是他们去跟从这套运动啊，去推崇这套运动啊，所以他们就是这种运动的信从者啊，他们就是 adherents to this movement. So adherents are followers, simply put. Questions with adherents? Right. Yeah, I know. yeah. We're starting, Stephen. We're trying to start an English channel, but it's more difficult than I thought. Anyhow, let's continue. Anything is hard at the beginning, right? 万事开头难啊，万事开头难。Right. So the next word is adhesive. Adhesive or simply adhesive. You can say this H or not. Adhesive, like we mentioned before with adherents, it's something that sticks. It's a substance that helps you stick. 就是像胶水这种东西啊，就是 adhesive. 胶水就是一种 adhesive. Glue is a kind of adhesive. For example, we can say glue is an adhesive.
Butter. It's a great adhesive. We can open up a glove 10 years later and that stuff's still sticky inside.
So he's making a baseball glove and
we can open up
and he's using this particular adhesive.
It's a great adhesive. We can open up a glove 10 years later and that stuff's still sticky inside.
Yeah, I don't know why I always say adhesive and never adhesive.
We can open up a glove 10 years later and that stuff's still sticky inside.
Right, so he's using this particular adhesive to make a baseball glove.
Pulling the adhesive away.
So he's removing the adhesive on the trim.
Pulling the adhesive away.
Right, so he's removing the adhesive, removing the glue, probably a very strong glue.
Together in the finished product. On the flip side, you can see the back dusting material, the adhesive where it's going to seal one shingle to the other on the rooftop.
Right, so she's producing roof shingles, right?
In the finished
and
product,
on the other side, there's some glue.
On the flip side, you can see the back dusting material, the adhesive where it's going to.
Right, so that's adhesive. That's simply a general term for anything that helps you stick. So glue, for example, is an adhesive. 就是粘合剂的意思。It's getting late. The next word is adjoin. Adjoin simply means adjacent, or neighboring, depending on your spelling. That might be neighboring, like that. So adjoin is simply means but or adjacent to. Let's see, adjoin.
Come in, run the airport, take the space that adjoins the airport and develop it as it.
So Biden is talking about a development plan for an airport, right? So there's land adjacent to the airport. That is neighboring the airport 就是在那个 airport 旁边紧挨着的这叫做 adjoining.
Run the airport, take the space that adjoins the airport.
The space that adjoins the airport 就是在那个机场旁边紧挨着的那块地。
Run the airport, take the space that adjoins the airport.
Adjoins the airport. So it simply means adjacent to the airport, or neighboring the airport, or next to the airport. Right, so that's adjoin. We'll take a look at adjoining more. Adjoining is a little bit more common. So let's take a look at adjoining. It's a mouthful. So as we talked about before, as we discussed before, the next word is adjoining. Adjoining is a lot more common than simply adjoin. Let's take a look at some examples. For example, we can have an adjoining room, that is a room next to another room. So the two rooms are adjacent. That's adjoining room. Adjoining land, when you have two pieces of land that's next to each other, that's adjoining land. Let's take a look at some examples from TV shows.
The houses adjoining the levee would be severely impacted.
So he's saying that the houses that are next to the levee, that's this is the first time I encountered this word.
The houses adjoining the levee would be severely impacted. The houses adjoining the levee would be severely impacted.
So this levee, I think 就是堤，好像是大堤对，大堤附近的一些房子都会被影响到。Oh yeah, that's what it is. So that's the levee.
And prone to failure.
Right. 这个堤要是决堤了，那就惨了。
At least 100,000 are at risk.
The houses adjoining the levee would be.
我还从来没见过这个词 levee 就是堤的意思堤岸的意思。一般我会想到这个 bank embankment. Okay, in any case.
The fourth floor in two adjoining suites.
Two adjoining suites 就是两个 紧挨着的套房啊 ，two adjoining suites.
Floor in 2 adjoining suites.
Two adjoining suites. 两个紧挨着的套房。
Public schools.
But I'm assuming that none of the adjoining school districts want this to happen.
So none of the adjoining school districts are simply none of the neighboring school district, right? So you have this one school district, and then you have many other school districts around it. That's adjoining school districts. All right, so that's adjoining. Simply means adjacent or next to. Okay, 39. The next word is adjourn. For example, court is adjourned. You hit the gavel. 他拿那个法锤噔噔噔啊，这是 court is adjourned， 就是休庭了的意思。For example, court is adjourned 就是休庭了。Meeting adjourned 就是现在我们这个会暂时开到这里啊。Meeting adjourned, Senate adjourned 就是我们这个国会上议院啊，现在这个开会告一段落啊，这是 Senate adjourned. House adjourned 啊，就是他们下议院啊开会告一段落。Session adjourned 啊，就是我们这个议会啊现在告一段落，这是 adjourned， 就是休庭休会这个意思。
The Senate, sitting as a court of impeachment, stands adjourned sine die.
Right, so he's saying that the Senate, 就是上议院 is now adjourned. 就是 sine die 啊 ，sine die 或者像他说的 sine die， 但是拉丁语啊，意思就是没有一个复庭的日期啊，sine die 啊，就是没有天啊，拉丁语就是没有天的意思，没有天就是没有一个确定的日期啊 ，sine die。那 adjourn sine die 就是我们现在休庭啊，那什么时候再开庭，我不确定啊，没有一个定期，这叫 sine die。再听一遍。
The Senate, sitting as a court of impeachment, stands adjourned sine die.
那是 sine die 也可以哈。
Has requested our presence immediately. This hearing stands adjourned until further notice.
Or until further notice 啊，这是一个比较常见的说法。Until further notice.
Our presence immediately. This hearing stands adjourned until further notice.
Right, 就休庭了。
Court's adjourned.
Court's adjourned.
This meeting is adjourned.
This meeting is adjourned. That means the meeting is stopped for now.
Immediately, court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned. That means this court session is over for now.
It's adjourned.
Court is adjourned. All right, so that's adjourned. Usually it's used with meetings, sessions, or the Senate or House meetings, or the court. So that's adjourned. Oh, the ad prefix comes from Latin. Adjourn. Yeah, adjourn. I guess toward. Help me here. Adjourn. So that's toward adjourn. Toward rest. Is that what it is? Adjourn. You look at the etymology here. That's assign a day, fix a day. From jour, right? Like journée, like journal, I guess is day, journal, right? Journal. To assign a day, fix a day. Okay. All right. In any case. The 39th word is wrong. 胡说. The 40th word is adjunct. An adjunct professor is simply a part-time professor. Right? So for example, if this professor is an adjunct professor, that means she's not a full-time faculty of a university. She's simply a part-time professor. That's called an adjunct professor. Adjunct 字面意思是附属的like something that's auxiliary, that's not a full-fledged something that's not full-fledged. That's adjunct, right? So she is an adjunct professor. That means she's not a full-time professor. 兼职教授就是 adjunct professor.
Beef with their employers, they argue adjunct professors are becoming the day laborers of academia. With their employers, they argue adjunct professors are becoming the day laborers of academia.
Right. So they're saying that the adjunct professors and the part-time professors aren't paid high enough, right? Aren't paid high enough. They are the day laborers of academia. Right? Day laborers 就是像钟点工啊，钟点工就是 day laborers 啊，就你做一天的工，结一天的钱，这叫钟点工，对吧 ？Day laborers， 这些 adjunct professors 啊，就好像是学术界的钟点工啊，就是他们这个待遇太不好了啊。They are like becoming the day laborers of academia. They are paid so low. They're so poor that they are the day laborers of academia.
With their employers, they argue adjunct professors are becoming the day laborers of academia.
So professors are paid $15 an hour? That's crazy. That's insane. That's just not right. But then I thought Americans pay a lot of tuition. Where did the money all go?
At Bergen Community College.
I'm an adjunct professor there at the moment. I'm teaching 2 classes, baking, introduction to baking.
Community College.
I'm an adjunct professor there at the moment. I'm teaching 2 classes, baking, introduction to baking.
So he teaches cooking or baking at a university as an adjunct professor, right? So he's a part-time teacher at the university.
Community College.
I'm an adjunct professor there at the moment. I'm teaching 2 classes, baking, introduction.
An adjunct professor at Queens College documented their story and the political fight that ensued in her documentary film.
Right. So adjunct professor simply means a part-time professor. Right? So usually the word adjunct is used in the phrase adjunct professor. It's also a grammar term, but it's more rare. It's more in linguistic circles. In any case, so just remember, adjunct professors are just part-time professors. Right. Okay, I'm done. 20 words. Now I can upload them to Bilibili. 好，谢谢大家. Thank you everybody for joining this live session. And I'll see you in the Oviedo. Steven Oviedo. I'll see you in Chinese 0 to Hero. All right, have a good day. Bye now.